Hi, I'm Scott Downs, and today we're diving into the fascinating world of satellite phone communications, tracing its evolution from the traditional satellite communications model to emerging direct-to-cell technology.
Introducing Iridium, the world's first handheld global satellite phone.
Beginning in the 1990s, satellite phones were large, bulky, and incredibly expensive. Companies like Iridium and Inmarsat were just starting out, becoming pioneers in satellite communications. Inmarsat began launching satellites in the early 1990s, initially providing services to the maritime industry. And Iridium began their efforts in 1997 and completed their constellation by 2002. Services from these companies ensured that no matter where you were on the planet, you could always be within range of communication. These phones rapidly became a valuable tool for explorers, military personnel, emergency responders, and even corporate jet setters, but their high cost and the necessity for a clear line of sight to the sky limited their widespread adoption. The handsets themselves were cumbersome, and the per-minute cost of calls was prohibitively high for regular use. Over time, we began to see significant advancements in satellite communication technology. Satellite phones became more portable and affordable. The technology was improved, and the devices started to resemble the cell phones that we were familiar with today, though still larger and heavier. As things progressed, companies began to introduce emergency, text-only devices and began to innovate with hybrid handsets that combine satellite and cellular connectivity, allowing users to switch between satellite and terrestrial networks, optimizing both cost and coverage. But both the devices and the communications plans remained relatively expensive, with satellite phones costing as much as $1,600 or more, and newer emergency text-only devices costing around $200. Sample Iridium plans today can run from $45 per month for 15 minutes of calling to $125 per month for 300 minutes of calling and 300 texts. And sample Inmarsat plans run from about $60 per month for 50 minutes of calling to $125 per month for 250 minutes of calling. And of course, there are overage charges if you exceed any of your calling allowance. Now, let's talk about the game changer, direct-to-cell satellite communication. This new approach leverages advancements in satellite technology and mobile networks to deliver satellite connectivity directly to standard cell phones without the use of specialized satellite handsets. How does it work? Essentially, new satellites equipped with advanced antennas and beamforming technology can directly communicate with regular smartphones. Think of it as a cell phone tower in space, and companies like SpaceX with their Starlink constellation and AST SpaceMobile are leading the forefront of this innovation. Here's an excerpt of Elon Musk speaking at T-Mobile's announcement ceremony, courtesy of CNET.
Hey guys. So, welcome to Starbase. So, it's something that we really want to emphasize because I think there might be some confusion out there. Is that this is the Starlink second generation satellites will be able to broadcast direct to cell phones. So the cell phones you're holding up there, it will be able to transmit directly to your cell or mobile phone. So now this won't have the kind of bandwidth that a Starlink terminal would have, but it will enable texting. It will enable images, and if there aren't too many people in the cell zone, you could even potentially have a little bit of video. So the important thing about this is that it means there's no dead zones anywhere in the world for your cell phone, and we're incredibly excited to do this with T-Mobile. It's really great to do this. So.
Let's take a closer look at two of the recent direct-to-cell partnerships. Starlink already has over 6,000 satellites circling the globe today. But on January 2nd, 2024, they launched their first 6 satellites with direct-to-cell capabilities. And on January 8th, reported sending and receiving text messages using T-Mobile's network spectrum. They plan to launch hundreds of these next-generation satellites in the near future to build out a direct-to-cell constellation by 2025. The advantage of T-Mobile's partnership with Starlink lies in Musk's ability to rapidly innovate and deploy new technology, having launched over 1,800 satellites in 2023 alone. But utilizing LTE modems and high-frequency spectrum may limit the ultimate bandwidth available to users of the service. AST SpaceMobile, in contrast, requires far fewer satellites to provide continuous direct-to-cell services in the United States, roughly 45 to 60. And to provide global 5G, they will ultimately need around 90. The advantage of AT&T's partnership with AST SpaceMobile lies in their design of broad antenna arrays and 5G modems that can communicate on lower frequency spectrum. In general, lower frequency waves can travel further than higher frequency waves. So I'd expect Starlink cluster to be more dense and built out more quickly, but AST SpaceMobile may still have the edge in overall bandwidth, having already tested at 14 megabits per second. And did you know that if you buy the latest iPhone from Apple, that it already offers a limited direct-to-cell emergency capability? Apple partnered with a different satellite provider, Globalstar, and is using their low Earth orbit satellites for direct-to-cell communication. The service is free for up to 2 years and is available on Apple's iPhone 14 and newer models, regardless of your cellular provider. Direct-to-cell models are poised to revolutionize connectivity, especially in rural and underserved areas. Imagine being able to maintain a connection in the middle of the ocean, on a remote mountain, or in a disaster-stricken area where infrastructure is compromised, all with a regular smartphone. A few things. The addressable market for direct-to-cell services is the 5 billion plus people today that already have cell phones. Charles Miller, the CEO of Link Global, predicts that direct-to-cell is estimated to generate $1 billion in additional revenues over the next 5 years. And it's expected that it will take approximately 10 years for the market to fully mature. But this doesn't mean that challenges don't remain. There's the challenge of integrating the technology seamlessly into existing cellular networks, and then there's the question of regulatory approval across different geopolitical boundaries to ensure that satellites can provide service to everyone. The future of direct-to-cell communications is incredibly promising. With the convergence of satellite and terrestrial networks, communications will become even more seamless, from enhancing the connectivity of IoT devices in remote locations to providing reliable access in developing regions. The days of clunky and expensive satellite phones will soon be a thing of the past. Replaced by direct-to-cell capabilities using existing mobile devices, this emerging technology will continue to advance the dream of universal and reliable connectivity. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the evolution of satellite phone communications. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please be sure to leave any comments or questions in the space below.